Nothing more boring, antiquated and off-putting than sitting in a room and watching a group of panelists who are barely able to see each other than their profiles, let alone the audience. There is, similarly, nothing more annoying than watching someone standing a long way away from where you are in the room, reading the slides that are up on the screen, word for word. I hate badly organized events, boring panelists, nodding heads, or panelists patting each other's backs because of how marvelous they are, and speakers who are so bad at telling you what their presentation is about, that you just feel like standing up and telling them, "Hello, are you awake?" But let's not get into the complexities of public speaking and engaging rhetoric. That's a different topic altogether. Today I want to share with you how brilliant events should look like and what a perfect event should have or should be like from my perspective. It's not difficult, it's very easy. Before the event, make sure that you send the attendees and speakers, panelists, accurate information about the location, timings and sequence of the speakers, etc. Ideally, include a map with the exact outline of the place, showing the rooms, facilities, exits, registration, breakout areas and so on. Not everyone will be familiar with the area, so provide plenty of information about public transport to get there, taxi fares from airport, train stations, town center, taxi companies you recommend, etc. There may be no public transport, or this may be very limited. Don't be surprised, but many countries don't have a reliable public transport, so, if you organize an event in the Middle East, for instance, it's unlikely anyone will use the bus to get to your event. By the way, if you commit to arrange transport for the VIPs, speakers and panelists, make sure that you do. If you change your mind, just let them know it's okay and no one will think any less of you, although they might. It's far worse if the poor souls stand like catwalk models outside their hotels and wait for the shuttle that never came to pick us up. It happened to me at an event I was moderating in Abu Dhabi for the World Energy Congress in 2019. Capture every attendee's name and organization clearly on the corresponding badges and don't forget to actually make them a badge. It happens more often than you think for an attendee to find that they have no badge. If you're a speaker, panelist and present at an event which doesn't even have your name correctly or doesn't even have your name at all, then that screams incompetence. There are no excuses with this one. If your event is international, especially if it is an exhibition of some sort, rehearse the directions. I'm not joking. The event staff is supposed to give the attendees. For instance, I was at an event recently and I had the unpleasant surprise to be given wrong directions by the doorman, whose role was to direct people. Do not assume they should know how to direct delegates. Check that they really do. You can never ever have enough posters, banners and whatnots giving people directions or signposting where the coffee area is, where the toilets, restrooms, are, where the smoking area is. You must have one unless you want to pick butts from the pavement for several hours, and where the food is being served, if any. The more signs, the better. And the most important sign of all? Exit signs. Not just the one in case of an emergency but, also, the one taking people out of the building. Do you have exhibitors at your event? Sponsors? Many panelists or speakers? Why not be nice and really helpful and have a couple of displays, or similar, with various promotional literature items of their organizations? Again, you'd be surprised, but many events don't. It beats the hell out of those stupid bags, which are mostly empty, that have a miserable pen lost somewhere at the bottom and a notebook that would probably be put straight into the recycling bin or given to the kids to draw on. Plus, think of all the time and money you'd be saving by not having to manually handle, fill and store the bags. By all means, if you have something really useful and enjoyable to give your attendees, goodie bags are an ideal option. By all means, fill them up.
Make sure you have all attendees' mobile phone numbers, ideally, and/or email addresses, GDPR compliant, and, no sooner than 12 hours before the event, send them all one text message and/or email with the contact details of 1. The person they should contact in case they cannot attend the event anymore. 2. The person they should contact in case they can't find the place. 3. The person they should contact in case of an emergency, of any nature. And make sure that those people on this list do answer their phones and check their emails. If you organize an international event, make sure that when tickets are bought or the registration is made or whatever, you ask the delegates, on the registration form, about their language preference. It's in your best interest to ensure that everyone understands perfectly what is being said during the conference, event. And yes, You will need interpreters, and booths for them, and special interpretation equipment. Make absolutely sure, regardless of the country where you hold your event, that the venue is accessible to disabled people. Access, restroom, lifts and so on. If it doesn't, don't bother holding it there. The reputational risk for your organization will be significant if you overlook this aspect. You need a cloakroom too. Regardless of the weather, but even more so if it's not summer, you need a secure area where attendees can leave their stuff, luggage, some may be traveling back home on that day, briefcases, umbrellas and so on. For instance, there are women who get to events wearing trainers or flip-flops. I'm one of those, and then they change into proper shoes. I've never attended an event where I could leave my not-so-posh footwear somewhere unless it was winter. Everyone is on their phones these days. You want them to be, too, to share the highlights of your event, in real time. But they need to be able to charge their phones, don't they? The number of conference venues which only have 2 to 3 spare sockets is unreal. Be smart and rent several mobile charging points for the day. Your attendees will be very grateful to you for that. There are many visually and hearing impaired people who, sadly so, are not made to feel included at most events. The latest ones I attended, international, with hundreds and thousands of delegates, had absolutely no amplifying systems for those with hearing problems, let alone presentations, slides or signage in Braille for the visually impaired. For most event organizers, these are considered too much of a bother. They shouldn't be. Food and drinks. If you provide food at your event, please don't have it all in one area. Those never-ending queues are such a sad sight to see. Ensure you have at least 2 identical buffet areas that attendees can go to. Separate the fruit and sweets from main courses and starters, so that your crowd control measures are even better. Not everyone will be happy to stand to eat. If you can, provide the delegates with seating for lunch. It's so difficult to speak with someone holding a plate in one hand and a glass in another. If someone gets introduced to you, shaking hands becomes out of the question. It's just bad and uncomfortable for everyone. There are things that should be abundantly made available: napkins, bottled water or pitchers with fresh water, and salt and pepper. You wouldn't believe me, but I've been to too many events where the salt and pepper were almost non-existent. For all events, but especially for the more exclusive or high-level ones, it would be great if you could have some tags in front of each tray, platter, describing not only what that dish is but also if it's kosher, halal, vegan, vegetarian, nuts, shellfish, gluten-free and so on. There are 2 ways you can deal with food allergy issues. 1. Take all necessary precautions to ensure that no food products some attendees are deadly allergic to are present at all. Very difficult to do for buffet and large events. 2. Issue a disclaimer saying that, although you will attempt to do everything possible to ensure the allergy sufferers will be catered for, but do it, don't just say it, you cannot guarantee it. If at all possible, arrange the break and lunch areas not too far away from the restrooms. It helps. As a minimum in terms of drinks, you should have water, still and sparkling, coffee, normal and decaf, and tea, black and decaf. Anything else is a bonus. If you do hold your event in a Muslim country or have a Muslim audience, do not serve any alcohol or pork products. Do your research and observe, as much as possible, the cultural norms and values of the host country and your delegates. Make sure that the venue where you hold the event has a first aider or a nurse doctor available for the entire duration of your event. There are people who have allergies and some of them may not even know that they do. People can choke on a bone, someone can have an allergic episode, or an anaphylactic shock, or someone may have simply forgotten to inject themselves with insulin that day. Anything can happen and you must always ensure, as a minimum, that you, or someone there as your staff, contractors etc., has first aid training, has a first aid kit, can provide immediate medical assistance, can operate a defibrillator, anyone can have a heart attack, knows the contact numbers of the nearest clinic, hospital and local ambulance service etc. Housekeeping. Have plenty of staff at the registration area. You want every delegate to feel respected, appreciated and really welcomed. You don't want them to feel bothered by queuing or by being made to use electronic registration desks which, highly likely, many have never used before or find it difficult to. Every delegate should be given a lanyard, a briefing pack, different from the promotional literature I mentioned earlier, including the conference program, in their preferred language, speakers, panelists, biographies or similar, a map of the venue, signposting the toilets, breakout areas, lunch, smoking area, fire exits and exits, taxi rack or similar, and their simultaneous interpretation equipment, making sure you tell them which channel their language will be on. Any event should be inclusive. Panel table plus audience, lectern plus audience, armchair seating plus audience are outdated, boring and non-inclusive. Your speakers, panelists are there for the audience, and the audience is there for the panelists, speakers. Give them an experience, not just another conference, event. There are many ways you can play with the seating chart area, and even more ways you can insert the speakers and panelists into the audience. Bring them in the middle of those they came to talk to the audience. Have the audience surround the panelists, speakers. Make your panelists, speakers walk the room, make eye contact with the audience, and bring everyone in. If you must have slides, use at least 3 screens, for large events, front, left and right sides of the room. Nudge the speakers into framing and building on the slides, not reading them. I was at a PR conference some time ago. There was a speaker I really wanted to listen to the moment she started reading her slides. I stood up and left. We can read. We attend events to discuss and debate, not to be read to. If your event allows for questions and answers, have plenty of roving microphones available and staff to hand them out to the audience. The panelists, speakers must be mic'd up, ideally with lapel microphones, or be given a microphone each. Before the conference, just go and check the sound system yourself. Make sure the microphones work, the interpretation system is in perfect order, the room is echo-free, etc. The more effort you put into the details, the better your event will be. Showtime. If you have a panel session, make sure you have the best moderator you can get. She is your showman, and the one who will be able to save the event no matter what. I had to save one very recently, in a room 80% empty, with VIP panelists, and it wasn't easy, trust me. The first thing you need to do when everyone is seated and before the event itself starts is to ensure someone, usually the moderator or the venue staff, provides the safety briefing. It is extremely important to tell people that, no, fire alarms are scheduled that day, in case they aren't, and that, if they hear one, describe how that should sound. Usually, this can be a brilliant icebreaker if humorously done. They should all slowly head towards X, you point to where, and assemble in Y, the muster point. There are many buildings across the world which don't have fire alarms. That makes no difference. Just tell them that, if they smell smoke, or someone comes in shouting, fire, fire, they should be doing XYZ. Your delegates are your responsibility, and you cannot pass the buck. Some good lawyers might be able to clear you from corporate manslaughter, to the building owners saying it was their fault, in case something tragic happens. Make sure all your insurances are up to date, especially the public liability one. You'll need them if something goes wrong. Regardless, it's your duty to ensure nothing does. Risk in our line of work comes from many sources, and organizing events, for yourself or on your client's behalf, bears high risk. If no questions, or very few, come from the audience, the moderator should have the ability to engage the panelists in a conversation to last, at least, until the end of that session. The moderator should also be competent, astute and modest. You don't want a moderator who loves to hear themselves talking. We've seen plenty of those, but one who acts as a conduit between the audience and panelists. Moderating a panel session properly is far more difficult than giving a 20 minutes presentation. It is an art to be able to profile the panelists, feel, and read the audience, bring up issues that are of interest to the audience and panelists, and so on. Make the event engaging. The more questions you defer back to the audience, panelists, the more lively the event will become. I go to events where I know I can raise my hand and ask plenty of questions. I don't like going to events where I'm supposed to sit down nicely and bow down in awe at the might of the speakers, panelists. I like discussions and dialogue, but, most of all, I like to feel included. Wouldn't you? A classroom, theater-style seating, in a dark room, with a poor sound system and minimal lighting, a terrible panel or subpar public speakers, and not allowing enough time for questions and answers are sure to guarantee that whoever attended your event this time won't attend another one again. For many organizations, events are either a source of direct income, by selling tickets, sponsorships and so on, or an investment, with the hope of bringing money in at a next date, promotional activity. So, be careful how you organize them. There are many other minute details, in addition to everything I have outlined so far, that solely depend on the size, type, location, protocol, and so on of the event. Use my points above as a blueprint of how to make an event memorable in a good way. Then, if you can, virtually take yourself to it. Use your imagination and go for a mind walk. Once you're happy that all the arrangements have been made, that there is nothing else you can do to make that event spectacular, walk away from it. Give yourself at least 5 hours away from it, from anything that has to do with it. Then go somewhere quiet where there will be no interruptions for at least 30 minutes. Get into the zone, and picture yourself heading towards the place where your event is being held. Get there as an attendee, not as an organizer. Visualize everything, starting with the registration area, to needing the toilet, wanting an extra portion at lunch, dropping your coat off, needing to charge your phone, asking questions, and so on. Your mind walk, since it is using other brain stimuli which bring up feelings, recollections from your unconscious mind. I'm not going to get into the details of this here. Don't worry, is highly likely to uncover some things, usually minor issues, you haven't thought about. Don't panic, you will still have time to fix them or come up with alternative solutions. Most of all, good luck, and do let me know how you made your event a resounding success. There are 2 fantastic books that may help you further, and I have put their titles and links in the video description below. Thank you for being here today. Power and influence is a journey, and I would love to have you with me on it. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe to this channel.